Hi guys, so today's video is going to be the next video in my top 5 favorite horror movie series, I guess that's what you'd call it. This is going to be the top 5 movies that changed my life. And when I say changed my life, I don't mean that like there was some like life altering epiphany, like my life is better because of this. Well, I mean, I guess maybe you could say that. I don't know. These are just movies that like struck a chord with me that totally like there's something about them that just influenced my life. And yeah, so I have my list, my little trusty list as I knock everything else over. Before I get started, I do want to say that Halloween is totally on this list too. Like, can you tell? I mean, you guys are probably sick of hearing about me talk about Halloween. But Halloween, like I said in my cult classics one, is the only horror movie franchise that I've seen literally every single one of them, and I have them all taped on my DVR right now, and I love every single one with the exception of like 4. Yeah, I love Halloween, and I remember it was the summer that I turned 10, so I was like 9 going into 10. I literally watched the entire franchise from beginning to like the most recent edition, like whatever was released at that date when I was 10 years old. I had watched the entire thing that summer, and I watched them in order, and I loved them, and I think I love Halloween. So now I'm gonna get into the real countdown. So the number 1 movie that changed my life, this is probably, I put this as number 1 for a reason. Like, no other list is ranked. This isn't really ranked either, but this one deserves to be number 1 in this video, and that's Scream. Scream totally changed my life, and I'm going to tell you why. Well, obviously I'm going to tell you why this entire video, but when I was 8 years old, Scream came out when I was around 8, and I remember I was 8 and one of my friends had a sleepover, and her older sister had rented the movie Scream. And we were and she put it on, so we're all like these 8-year-old girls that are all having this, sleepover. She steals this movie from her older sister, and we started watching it, and she lived in a house that was kind of in the woods. It was kind of like the Drew Barrymore house in the beginning of Scream, and I remember sitting there and like the entire movie like just shaking, like shaking. I was so petrified that I called my mom to come pick me up. Literally, I waited until the movie was, I watched the entire movie, I waited for the movie to be finished, I waited for all of the girls to fall asleep as I'm like crying, like in my sleeping bag on the floor. I called my mom at 4 o'clock in the morning and I made her come pick me up because I was that terrified that Ghostface Killer was gonna come and kill me. I was so scared. And then I remember the next Monday when I went to school, I got made fun of so bad. They never, I mean, they obviously like forgot about it like a month later, but I got made fun of so bad for like a week for being like a scaredy cat, for being like terrified of all this stuff. Like, I was the only girl that couldn't handle it, and that was kind of like a little bit of an eye-opening moment. Like, obviously it like changed my life because I was like, I'm a tough girl. I don't need to be like that. Like, I don't need to like I'm better than that. And so I vowed to watch a ton of scary movies to prove that I'm not scared of movies. And that's what prompted my love affair with horror movies and the genre in general. So if it wasn't for Scream, I probably wouldn't even be making this video. So thank you, Wes Craven. I owe you everything. And Scream is still like a big movie in my life. I have it saved on my DVR right now, and I absolutely love it. So, all right, movie number 2, The Birds. I love The Birds. Okay, Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds was kind of like the movie that kind of opened my eyes to older horror movies and older scary movies. I was like one of those people that like I only watched horror movies from like obviously like 70s and above because Halloween was in 78. The Birds was a little bit older than that, and my mom was like, you can't call yourself a horror movie fan if you've never seen a Hitchcock film, because I had seen like the remake of Psycho and all that stuff, so I wasn't really as interested in that movie, but she told me to watch The Birds first, and I loved it. Loved it. Since I've seen a lot more Hitchcock, obviously, because I like Hitchcock, but The Birds still holds a special place in my heart just because it was my first, and it got me into old movies in general. Not just like old horror or old suspense or old thriller, but like old movies in general. Like now I love watching TCM. It's one of my favorite channels, especially around the holidays. I love all the old Christmas movies. Like this was a long time ago that I saw The Bird. So like I love old movies. It's shaped my life, and I know that when I watch too many of them, I start talking like people in old movies, and then it becomes a little bit of an issue because no one talks like that anymore. But I love it. I absolutely love it. Horror movie that changed my life, number 3, The House on Haunted Hill, the remake. I almost included this in my favorite remakes because I really didn't like the original with Vincent Price, but I felt like it was much better in this movie. The House on Haunted Hill is probably the horror movie that I've seen the most out of any horror movie on the face of the planet. I've seen it more than any other movie. It came out when I was 11, and I loved it. Like, I still love it. It's been saved on my DVR since I moved into my apartment 2.5 years ago, and I watch it probably once a month. Like a lot of times I'll have a horror movie on in the background and not really paying attention to it. I'll be like doing something on the computer. Like House on Haunted Hill I always watch, and I always like at least once a month will actually sit there and actually watch it. So I don't know, I just absolutely love that one, and it deserves to be on this list. So alright, horror movie that changed my life, number 4, Dawn of the Dead. The remake, also. Another one that I probably could have included in the remakes, but this is the one where they're in a mall. The reason that this makes my movies that changed my life is because this was the first zombie movie that I actually liked. I don't know if I've said this in other videos, but like zombies, I haven't had it in a long time, but in my life, I have a reoccurring nightmare about zombies. Like, I don't know if anyone else has reoccurring nightmares, but I do, and I always thought that they were a thing of myth or whatever, but I have a reoccurring nightmare about zombies. And of course I Googled it, and then it makes me feel really bad about myself because, like, you know, Google, the dream meaning, it means that if I dream about zombies, it means that I feel really alone and really isolated, and that, like, no one really, like, is around for me and that kind of thing, because, like, you know, everyone is turning into a zombie and you're the only one left, or vice versa, if you're a zombie and everyone else is normal. It means the same thing, but I always have a dream that everyone I love starts turning into zombies, and yeah, and so I never liked the movies. Like watching 28 Days Later, like it never really appealed to me until I saw Dawn of the Dead. That was kind of like my turning point for zombie movies. I love them. I love zombies. Like, and I don't remember when I saw Dawn of the Dead, but I do know that the dad from Modern Family is in Dawn of the Dead, and he is having sex and swearing and being an asshole, and that's so weird for me to watch. So, Phil Dunphy being mean, who would have thought? But anyways, I owe Dawn of the Dead my entire love for the zombie genre, because now I totally appreciate it. I never would have watched Night of the Living Dead, which was in my classic horror movies, if it wasn't for Dawn of the Dead. And I want to say it came out when I was like 13 or 14. I was in like maybe entering high school when I first saw it. So absolutely love that movie. I still love it and still watch it all the time. Alright, and the last one I want to talk about is Frailty. You guys may not have ever heard of Frailty. I don't know. I know a lot of people who've never heard of it, but it is a phenomenal movie. It's another one of those kind of like psychological thrillers kind of movies. It's not necessarily a horror. It is scary, sort of, but not really. It has Bill Paxton and Matthew McConaughey in it, and the storyline is that it's set in 2 different times. So Matthew McConaughey, it starts off with him going into a police station and saying, my brother is the God's Hand killer, basically saying my brother is a serial killer, and here's how I know that it's him, and it's because when I was growing up, my dad was a serial killer. And then so it does the flashbacks, and you watch Bill Paxton with 2 little boys, raising 2 little boys, and he gets a message from an angel that wants him to rid the world of demons. And demons are in people. They're masked as people, and they're the people who do bad things in the world. And the angel gives him an axe, and he kills people with an axe. and you know, then he gets like a list from the angel, and he gets a list of like 5 names, and then he just kills people on the list, and God protects him, and that's the whole. And so it's Matthew McConaughey like telling the story of his childhood to this cop, and so it's like woven like in the present and in the past. But it's so kind of terrifying to see like these 2 little boys like growing up with this serial killer, and the whole time like you don't know if he's like just deranged, like if he really thinks he's talking to an angel, or is he really talking to an angel, you know what I mean? Like, is he really getting messages from an angel that he has to kill people, or is he just killing people? Like, you don't know. And then the reason why Frailty is the movie that changed my life is because it was the first movie that ever, like, I don't want to say the first, but there's something about this movie that like it's very smart, and the ending was very unexpected. Like, I never would have been able to predict the ending. Other people may have been able to, but I'm not that smart, so I couldn't do it. But I absolutely love that movie. If you've never seen it, even if you don't like horror movies, like, it's not a horror movie. Anybody can watch it. There's no blood, there's no guts, there's no gore, but it's very thought-provoking, and it's very smart, I guess you could say. So that's it. Those are the top 5 movies that changed my life. I hope you guys like this. As always, please comment, thumbs up the video if you liked it, and please subscribe, and let me know what horror movies you love and which ones like really made an impact in your life. So thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll talk to you later. All right, bye.